Yeah. Y'all watching the Grindethiks mixtape show, and I'm your host, Viktory BX Supreme Promoter. Basically, nah I'm saying? Basically. Yo, what up, what up? Thank y'all for watching a new episode of the Grindethiks mixtape show. Yo, anyone that likes this episode, I'll be very grateful if anyone click on like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, and all that good stuff. Okay? And if you definitely like this episode, I'll be very grateful. Very grateful if you could drop a small donation, nothing crazy. I'm still raising up money for this Live Your Life tour that I'm going to do later on, that I'm going to go on later on this spring, the Live Your Life tour. Yep, and the first stop is Atlanta, Georgia. Basically. I'm doing a morning episode before I go out and run around like a madman, sell stuff. I'm gonna teach you how to sell. Okay, that's the topic of this episode. How to sell. How to sell. You know, some people a lot of people make the concept of selling complicated because so many of us, we have our regular jobs. All we have to do is punch in and do the regular job and do whatever we got to do and punch out. You know what I'm saying? Selling is like, you know, people are so used to going to their regular jobs and doing what they got to do and getting their money every week or every 2 weeks that they can't picture themselves selling. But some of y'all that have 9 to 5 jobs, y'all flirting with the idea of selling. Or maybe you see social media and you look at people who are resellers and you're like, wow, I want to be a thousandaire or a millionaire. Yo, I'm gonna teach you how to sell, man. Regardless of whatever the reason why you want to sell or flirting with the idea of selling, I'm gonna teach you how to sell. And let's not make it complicated, okay? Let's not make it complicated. I've been selling for over 20 years, y'all. Over 20 years. A long time. A long time. And first thing first, get out your mind that selling is some scamming shit. Because first of all, everything that you have in your house, someone sold it to you, right? And you were satisfied about what you got. So let's get that out your mind. When you're selling, you're not scamming. Okay? That's if you want to scam. Okay? Yeah. What you want to sell? If you're selling clothes, something like that, or selling anything that people need and want. First of all, let's start off with what people need. Sell something that people need. You could go to a wholesale place and buy certain things that you know that people need and that people will buy from you, right? Like, hygiene products, um, napkins, tissues, stuff like that, clothes, of course, socks, underwear clothes like socks, uh, uh, um, what's it called? Tank tops, underwear, t-shirts, boxes, briefs, stuff like that, bras, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You already know people need these stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you could start off, since you have a job and since you go to your job, why not sell products at your job? You might have certain things that people need at your job. And don't limit yourself to just selling at your job because you might only have a few people working with you. Everybody might not like you. So don't limit yourself to just your job. But you can start off with just your job since you're always at your job. right? People that you get along with. They don't have to be your friend or your friends. You know what I'm saying? But people that you get along with at your job. You know, you could ask them, yo, listen. You could show them pictures of different clothes that they might like, or even purses or pocketbooks. You know, and you ask them, what do you want? You know, or would you like to buy anything? You know, simple conversation stuff. You know what I'm saying? And whatever they want, you just note it down. You write it on your cell phone notebook or a notepad or whatever, and you write down what your coworkers want. And you might either go to the wholesale place or go to Amazon or get it from them, get it for them, or you either probably got it already. You already probably got it already, but you show them the pictures at first, you know? And selling could be as easy as just having a conversation with somebody that you know or somebody that you just met. You could be like, oh, by the way, I was wondering, would you be interested in these clothes? Or would you be interested in this particular type of purse or purses? Or do you like jerseys, my nigga? You know what I'm saying? And don't force nobody to buy nothing. That's one thing. Don't force nobody to buy shit. I mean, me personally, I made a lot of money forcing people to buy stuff, but I at the same time, I I scared a lot of money off because people do not like being pressured to buy something. People like to buy, but they don't like to feel pressured into buying something. So you got to make the whole buying process as casual as possible or practical. So you might know somebody, you know what I mean, whether they're your friend or not your friend, and you be like, "Yo, by the way, I got a jersey, I got some jerseys for sale, or I got some t-shirts for sale, or I got some socks for sale." And then they ask you what type of socks. That's when you go in, like, "Oh, I got Hanes, or I got Gym Rock socks, or I got these type of socks. Would you be interested?" And then they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know." Like, "Oh, just call me if anything," and that's it. If they're your next door neighbor, your coworker, you know, or you might have some socks, or you might have something or some products in your hand right there and then to show to your neighbor or your or a person that you know or whatever, or a coworker. Be like, "Yo, I got these socks. You might not get it right now, or you might not want to buy it right now, but let me know if you could get it. I mean, let me know if you like it." And if they ask you how much, that's when you go in and tell them your price. So it could be a conversation. Selling could be as easy as a conversation. Now, when you make your first sales, it might take long for you to make your first sales, but it doesn't mean it's hard. First of all, get that hard shit out your head. It might take long, but it doesn't mean it's hard. Don't look at selling as hard. Or because something takes long, it doesn't mean it's hard. First of all, you know what I mean? Because that's a psychological trick. Really, the waiting, the hardness or the struggle is coming from your mind waiting for the sale. That's where the struggle is coming from. Really, it's a mind trick. So, but if you're selling like the way I'm selling, walking around selling stuff in different barbershops, beauty salons, laundry mats, you go inside the room, you know, and you go inside of a room, let's say a laundromat. And some laundromats, beauty salons, barbershops, some of the owners or managers will let you go in and sell stuff, right? And you just simply show people what you got. You tell them certain details about the products or product, and you put it back in your bag. And you be like, "Okay, peoples, have a nice day." And 50% of the time, somebody's gonna be like, "Hold up, let me see this. Hold up, let me see that. Hold up, how much your socks is again?" So you don't force. You go with the flow. And when people look at you, you make eye contact. You be like, "Hello, how you doing?" But don't ask them if they want to see something because you might scare them away. Because like I said, people like to be sold. I mean, people like to buy things, but they don't like to be sold. They don't like to be sold to, or feel pressured. So even when you say something like, oh, you want to see something, or you want to look at something, you're scaring them away, or you could be scaring them away. So you just simply say, oh, how you doing? That's it. That's it. You don't force nobody to buy nothing. And let's say you walking inside of a room full of people, and you got your stuff, you got your products. This goes for the people who are mobile. If you want to be a mobile street vendor, right? You walk that you might walk inside a room where there's 30 people, right? And 15 people are not interested. Or let's say the front of the room is not interested, right? But you got the other 15 people in the back of the room, they kind of active, right? So you go to the place where people are a little bit liver, a little bit active. You know what I'm saying? And you see if they want to buy. People who will look more interested in buying. People who are more liver, you go to them and see if you can sell something to them. It's a hit and miss. You gotta understand, selling is a hit and miss. It's like playing basketball. You're either gonna make the shot, you either not. But sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. It's a hit and miss. It's a hit and miss. Now, if you want to be now if you babysitting a table, you're in the street babysitting a table. You're a street vendor that's babysitting a table, and you got your products on your table. You create like an environment. You create like an ambiance to attract people. Maybe some music, especially if you live in a Spanish-speaking neighborhood or a Spanish-speaking city or state. You know what I mean? Put on some Spanish music, or you're surrounded by a bunch of, Black American people that's in their 30s and 40s. Put on some, old school rap music or some shit. Create like an ambiance to bring in the people, so the people could stop and look at your stuff. And then you say, hello, how you doing? And when they ask you questions, about your product, answer the questions about your product. And don't make it complicated. Don't make it complicated. And listen to them. Listen to them. Do less talking. Less talking and more listening. Because they're the people, the customers are the ones that's giving you the money. So do less talking and more listening. The point is not about, it's not all about making somebody buying something, right? It's not about making somebody buy something, because whatever you got, people are interested in your product already, whether it's something that they need or something that they want. So you're not making them buy it. They already want to buy it anyway, but they're contemplating. They might be contemplating. So they might ask you how much. You know what I'm saying? And if you want, you might want to go down a price. You might want to go down a couple of dollars or a few dollars less or whatever, as long as you can still make a profit. You know what I mean? So listen less. Listen more and talk less. Talk less. And let's say you're in a room full of people. Going back to if you want to be a mobile street vendor, you go into a room full of people, right? This is one thing I noticed. Okay, you go into a room full of people, right? You might have somebody in the front of the room that's interested in buying something, right? But they're not saying nothing. So you leave your bag for the products. You leave your bag for the products next to the person. And then you go to the back. You know, you look back to see nobody won't steal your stuff, but you go to the back to see if you can make some money from the other people. Then you go back to that person who was interested, looking at your bag and looking at your merchandise that you got at your looking at the merchandise that you have in your hand. And 50% of the time, 50%, this is 50% chance that that person will buy your stuff. And there's a 50% chance that he won't, you know? But that person know that you're coming back because you got your bag right next to him or her. That's something I noticed. You know, that's like a 9 times out of 10 thing or a 50-50 thing. That when you leave your bag next to a person that's looking at your product and you go to the other crowd, you go to the back of the crowd and come back in a couple of few minutes, you know what I'm saying? 50% of the time, that person will buy something. I noticed that. And another thing, when somebody buys something, when you're in a crowd full of people and when somebody buys something, when one person buys something, you might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people that's like, okay, he bought something or she bought something, maybe I should buy it too. It's called validation. You know, the person that bought the product off you validated that this is a good product, I guess. You know, nobody don't really know if it's a good or bad product, but the person validated for everybody because the person bought the product. So a person might be like, okay, maybe it's a good product to buy since that person bought it. And then all of a sudden you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, maybe even 10 people that'll buy the same product. That happened to me countless of times. I can't even tell you how many times that happened when one person bought something off me and then a bunch of people afterwards bought something off of me afterwards at the same time, or at least 1, 2, 3 people bought the same product that one person bought. It's called validation. Because I'm gonna keep it real, most people can't think for themselves. So they need somebody to buy something so they could feel confident about buying a particular service or product. And I tell people while I'm hustling, yo, why you waiting for somebody? Because sometimes when I'm hustling, sometimes when I'm hustling, right? And I show people my stuff, right? It could be wintertime. It could be 25 degrees and people know they need a hat and glove or hats and gloves or whatever, or scarves, whatever. And it'll be that one person who's skeptical looking at the crowd, looking at me to see what I got, looking at me and my product, and they're skeptical about buying something. So they look at the crowd to see if somebody else is gonna buy something. And I tell a motherfucker, listen, why are you waiting for other people to buy something that you need? You know you cold ass need a glove or a hat. Buy the shit, nigga. 1 + 1 = 2. It doesn't equal 85, dumb dumb. But this is how some people are. Not everybody, but some people are that dumb. I don't like to use that word, but come on, seriously? But you're gonna get that sometimes. When you have a product in your hand and you're trying to sell to a room full of people, one person will look at everybody else to see if they're gonna buy. That shit gets on my nerves half the time. I'm gonna keep it. It gets on my nerves all the time. All the time. But when one person buys, then that person who is looking for other people to see if other people gonna buy, that person might buy 9 times out of 10. You know? So, and another thing, you got to be patient. Be patient. If you never sold one thing in your life, not a product, not a service, you got to be mad patient. Because if you got to be mad patient. Or if you sold a couple of things or a few things in your lifetime, okay, let's say you sold a couple of things or a few things in your lifetime, whether it be a service or a product, whether it be at a job, or whatever. Or let's say you sold something to a friend or somebody you didn't know like that or whatever. Ask yourself, how did you sold that product, that service to that person? Did the person already wanted it, or did I made the person buy it? You know what I'm saying? So you don't make nobody buy nothing really, you know. But even though myself, I made people buy stuff because out of force, and you shouldn't force nobody to buy nothing. You can, but you're giving a lot of money away. You're gonna be giving a lot of money away at the same time. So make the process of selling easy in your head. Even if it takes long for you to sell, make it easy in your head. Just keep on saying, yo, I got this. I got this. Or you might sell in front of your building. You might have a large traffic on your block, or you might be living next to a subway station or a bus stop where people are walking back and forth, right? You might want to post up there and sell in front of the people going back and forth from the bus stop or the train or whatever. Or you might want to post up in front of your school. You might want to post up in front of your school. Or if there's an elementary school or junior high or high school or even a college, it don't matter. Right near you, not right near where you live at, you might want to post up and sell maybe snacks or sell clothes or underwear clothes or hats, simple, hats and gloves if it's cold, or you might want to sell socks in front of that school. Schools are good places to sell. Sell in front of, you can sell right in front of a school. You don't have to walk around. Or fucking around, you might want to set up a little table next to the school. If the security guard is like, no, you can't set up a table here, then okay, use your bag. Just bring your bag with your products and stuff like that. And just say hello to people. Say hello to almost everybody walking by and display your stuff. Display your stuff, Or maybe even, write signs. Signs is good. It's good to write signs, especially if you're a street vendor babysitting a table. Or let's say you're posting in front of a building, or let's say a school with your bag. You might want to put up a sign talking about, I don't know, $5 hats or $2 t-shirts, and you showing the product with the sign. Because signs always speak loud. Sometimes sounds speak louder than human beings. Okay? So people acknowledge signs, So when it comes to selling, there's different details. I can't tell you everything in one episode. And I didn't even tell you how to have the right mindset when it comes to selling. Because with me, I didn't have the right mindset when I started to sell. I was scared, I was fearful, scared of people, whatever, but I threw myself in the fire anyway. I threw myself in the fire anyway. It's just like when you up against a bully in school and you like, fuck it, you stand up against the bully anyway, so you try to beat him up. Even though you know you're gonna get clobbered anyway, but you're brave enough to face the bully. Fuck it. So maybe the next day when you up against the bully again, you might not be as scared. You might be a little scared. Then maybe the third time, you're a tiny scared. Then the fourth time, you're like, nigga, please. Nigga, please. You might find a pressure point and punch that and uppercut that nigga in the chin. You know what I'm saying? Uppercut that nigga in the chin or some shit. You know? That's how a small nigga could beat up a big nigga. Uppercut that nigga in the chin. You know what I'm saying? You won't expect that shit from a small nigga. But anyway, but you understand, you know? At first, I was scared. But if you're the type of person to face your fears anyway and do whatever anyway, even though you're scared, okay. You know? Okay. But in another episode, I'm going to talk about mindset, how to set up your mindset before you learn how to before you go out selling. But, you know, I'm kind of putting wisdom before knowledge on this episode. I'm telling you I'm teaching you how to sell before you even develop the mindset. But, you know, but with me, like I said, I actually was out there. I actually threw myself out. I actually threw myself in the fire and started approaching strangers, people I don't know, so I could sell products, you know. And I was scared of people, you know, but I threw myself out there in the middle of the wolves, you know, because I'm from New York City, where almost everybody is an asshole. New York City is the capital of all assholes as far as the United States, you know. But and I threw myself out there, and it came to the point that I wasn't scared of people no more, or scared of approaching people, or getting over frustrated over rejection. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you got to make rejection your friend. You know, you got to respect it, because it's only gonna make you stronger. It can't kill you, but you have to allow rejection to make you stronger. You have to allow it to make you stronger. But going back to knowing how to sell. Yeah, man. Like I said, selling could be as easy as a conversation. You know, you might meet somebody for the first time in a bus or in a train, or at gas, or maybe while you're getting gas for your car. Like, how you doing? Oh, that's a nice shirt. Or you might compliment a female on her shirt. Like, oh, that's a nice shirt. Well, that's a nice purse. You know? You know what, miss? I know, I don't want to disturb you, but I want you to look at something. You know what I mean? Or you might tell a female, oh, I think you look good on this. You know what I'm saying? You know? I think you look good on this. How you feel about this? You know? You don't force her to buy anything. And she might be like, oh, that's nice. How much? And she doesn't buy nothing. You give her your business card. You give her your business card. And that's good to give away business cards if people don't buy nothing. A person might be like, oh, I ain't got no cash, or I ain't got no cash, or no money in my debit cards, whatever. You know, you give them a flyer or a business card with your name on it, or with your, you know what I'm saying, your or the link to your stores, to your eBay, your Amazon, or let's say you're on Poshmark, you know, and you could sell online. And if you're going, and for my inspired online sellers, if you want to sell online, cool, sell online, but don't limit yourself to just the online world. Don't be one-track minded, because you got people that's making thousands of dollars, millions of dollars offline. Cool. But you know what? If something happens to the internet for a while and nobody's on the internet for whatever reason, these niggas will be asked out. So don't depend on the online world. Do your sell online and offline. You might want to do the online world, of course, and do flea markets or special events or pop-up shops. Or like I said, you might want to walk around like me in your neighborhood and sell stuff. Or you might want to babysit a table at a metropolitan area or a place where there's a high traffic of people. You know? So don't limit yourself to just one aspect, man. Because and the same thing if you're a street vendor. If you're a street vendor, and let's say you're somewhere in Manhattan, you know, and you're making $700 a day. Yes, there's street vendors that make that much money in a day. There's street vendors that make that much money in a day, my nigga, in Manhattan. In Manhattan. And maybe, I don't know about other boroughs, but in Manhattan, definitely. There's street vendors that make $700 in one day. Or maybe even $1,000 in one day. But let's say you're making hot sales. You're in a busy area somewhere in Manhattan, right? And something happens. Let's say you ain't got no license and police kick you out. They say you can't be here no more. If you come back here, we're gonna lock you up and take your shit. Or even if you got a license, let's say something happens. Even if you got a license, let's just say anything happens and you can't be at that particular spot where you're making, let's say, 400, 500, 600 a day or whatever. Don't depend on one spot. You know what I'm saying? Don't depend on one place. If you're a street vendor, go online too. Because you don't want, if you're from a city or a state where the winters are brutal, you know what I'm saying? You might not want to stand there, especially if it's slow outside, especially if your sales are slow. You might not want to be babysitting the table in a cold ass weather, freezing your ass off. So you might want to chill in the crib or post up a bunch of stuff online. Or you might want to put together your own indoor flea market. All the money that you're making outside, you know, when the weather is okay, you might want to take some of that money, rent out a venue that's not too much money to rent out, and sell all of your stuff. Sell all of your stuff and see and invite people to your flea market, to your indoor flea market when it gets mad cold, right? And you might want to see, and this is where you know people are gonna buy something. Well, this is when you know a bunch of people are gonna buy something, and you just see what you're gonna sell. So this is where you definitely don't have to force nobody to buy nothing, because people are coming inside of your event or the venue that you're renting, and their mindset is, I'm coming in here to buy something, you know? So you might want to do that instead of freezing your ass off. You know what I'm saying? Or you might want to rent out a place in the mall where you could have a table, or let's say a booth inside. And you might want to stand in front of there, you know what I'm saying, and sell stuff. Maybe every couple of hours while you're working your 9-to-5 job and your days off, you might want to be at the booth at the mall selling stuff. You know? And it's good when you at malls, right? It's good to have a booth where there's a high traffic of people, right? Where there's less people, you might not want to sell there. When there's more people, that's where you sell, where there's more traffic of people. You don't sell nowhere where there's a ghost town, or where there's a little bit of people, because you're gonna go through more rejection. The less people, when you at a place, when you vendoring at a particular area, the less people, the more rejections you're gonna go through. Okay, the more people, the less rejections. Especially if you're selling things that people need. Especially if you're selling things that people need, you know. And if you're an outgoing person and you never sold before, you're a good candidate for selling. If you're an extrovert and you never sold anything before in your life, you're a good candidate to be a salesperson or even a good salesperson. You're a good candidate because you really like to talk to people anyway. And like I said, selling sometimes is a simple conversation, you know. But if you're an introvert, I don't know. But then again, I used to be an introvert. I used to be mad introverted before I started selling. Actually, selling to people actually made me an extrovert. It actually made me outgoing. But if you're an introvert, you might want to sell online. You might want to sell online if you're an introvert, or use Chat GPT to help you sell. But even if you're an introvert, still develop some selling skills anyway. Okay, don't depend on Chat GPT. You know. So yeah, learn how to sell, man. If yeah, well, what else I gotta mention? Yes, like I said, sell where there's a high traffic of people. You know, less traffic, more rejections, more traffic, less rejections. You know, and that's about it. I'm gonna come back with part two. You know what I'm saying? And other episodes teaching you how to sell, man. And if you from the Bronx, you know, because that's where I sell at. That's where I be at, Bronx and Harlem. You know, so and this is for y'all, for those who know me for hustling in the train and shit, and hustling in the streets, like on Grand Concourse, Webster Avenue. You know what I'm saying? Places like that, Fordham Road, Third Avenue. You know, this is mostly for y'all because y'all see me most of the time. You know, and y'all know me. Well, some of y'all know me from that area, from those areas. You know, big shouts to, you know, Grand Conquest, Cambridge, East Tremont, you know, Burnside, you know, the whole D train line, the whole 4 train line, you know, the whole 6 train line, whatever, you know. Yeah, man. Anyway, I'm out. Anyone that liked this episode of Grind Ethics Mixtape Show, like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. And if you definitely like this episode, definitely drop a donation, you know, if you like. The link is down below. Also, the donations, just to let you know, is for my Live Your Life tour. I'm going to travel throughout the United States and interview different interesting people, entrepreneurs, artists, nonprofit founders or whatever, and and also show different landmarks of different cities and states to the audience. You know, so I'm just so basically I'm dedicating a tour to Grind Ethics. It's going to be called the Live Your Life Tour. So if you want to drop a donation, help me out with the tour, you know what I mean? That'd be great. If not, ain't no stress. And I'm out. And remember, peoples, tell a friend to tell a friend that's all about the motherfucking grind, basically.